The temperature here in the commentary box is just as tense as it is all the way around the circuit. This is very much the calm, the lull before the storm. Michael Schumacher sitting there for the first time this year in pole position in front of his chief opposition, Mika Häkkinen. And in Canada it is go! Michael Schumacher moves across, cuts across. Häkkinen, Eddie Irvine trying to go up the inside, failing to do so. Are they all going to get around? There's one! That's it, it's a Prost again. So, and it looks to me, it's Jarno Trulli. Jarno Trulli has gone off, but hopefully they'll be able to keep the race going. Jarno Trulli was involved last year when his car rode up onto the back of Wirtz's car, and he's out of it already. You're looking through the on-car camera here. So Jarno Trulli out of the race, but it looks to me as though the track is clear, and that's the important thing. And it was Jorna Lacey who was involved, and he was also involved. So, like last year, so Schumacher leads, is where he wants to be in the Ferrari. Clear track in front of him. Mika Häkkinen behind him in second place. Eddie Irvine is third. Then it's Fisichella who's got ahead of David Coulthard. Down to fifth position goes McLaren, who attacks at the hairpin, but Fisichella moves across. Well, here's a replay. You see there is Trulli going off. He will say he was pushed off by somebody, and the wheel goes bouncing through the gravel trap. Fortunately, as I said, the track is completely clear. Now you see Trulli there, he is going across the grass, over the curb.
Well, he already lost it, Murray, before he got to turn one. He's already sideways and actually slid into the car in the middle of the pack.
Well, there's Barrichello coming through. And yes, it is Rubens Barrichello who is hit by Trulli, charging up the inside. Jarno Trulli, the Italian in the broken Prost there, charging up from 9th position. Lacey coming through and trying to get past David Coulthard. A super start for Lacey. He's going to be very, very sick indeed about this. Off the track, on the grass. Green flag, race is on. Schumacher leads, Häkkinen, Eddie Irvine is third, Fisichella is fourth, David Coulthard is fifth, and Heinz-Harald Frentzen is sixth ahead of Johnny Herbert. Now David's not going to be at all happy about this, Mark. He was hoping to win this race from fourth on the grid in tall order, but he's already lost a place to Fisichella.
Yeah, he won't be happy about that. He's normally very good in the starts. One place where they're going to go and get this advantage for the McLaren guys is down this straight in particular, Murray. All weekend long they've been running about 10 to 12 k's quicker, and he's lining the guy up now. He's going to slide by. Watch.
On the left, David Coulthard comes up and inside Fisichella, absolutely right, Mark. Beautiful forecast. David Coulthard uses the superior power of the Mercedes-Benz V10 engine over the Supertech in Fisichella's car, and we're now on lap 4 out of 69. Michael Schumacher is making them. Oh, and off goes Zonta. That's Ricardo Zonta in the BAR. He was in 15th position, so that's yet another retirement, and that makes 5 already. There is Zonta hitting the wall on the exit to turn 13, which is the last corner on the track. Now the question is strategy. What sort of a strategy? And that is
there's Alex Zanardi. This guy has some unbelievably bad luck. He's already out of this race. No, it looks like he might get going again. I truly hope so.
Well, Zanardi was actually in 8th position, which is higher than he's been in any race at all this year, I think. And you can see Zonta's car. It's in a dangerous position, that car. The safety car's coming out again. This is a replay of 1998. The safety car was out 3 times last year. Very sensible. I'm sure that Charlie Whiting, who is the race director, has decided that they've got to get Zonta's car away from where it is now. Into the pit lane. Schumacher goes, Häkkinen goes, Irvine goes, Coulthard goes, Fisichella goes. There's the patch where the BAR was. That is Heinz-Harald Frentzen in the yellow car. Tucked up behind it is Johnny Herbert in the Stewart and going for it. And in 8th place is Ralf Schumacher. And look at Johnny Herbert. Now Johnny Herbert has got a reputation to regain in 1999 because he's been very much laps number 2 to Rubens Barrichello, who is out of the race, and the Ford Empire is resting on Johnny Herbert's shoulders at the moment. Jacques Villeneuve has fought his way up to 10th position. He started way down in 16th position, so he's made up 6 places, and he's closing on Pedro Diniz. There is the Canadian in the background. It's Pedro Diniz in the Sauber, who had a colossal crash here, just about at the point where Villeneuve is now. Damon Hill out of the race. Damon Hill retiring. The right rear, you can see, it looks as though he's broken part of the transmission.
That's suspension failure there, Murray. As you see where the left-hand front wheels popped up in the air, and that's suspension failure because he's hit the wall, so that's going to happen.
It looks as though he just lost it, Mark, as he was approaching the turn, as he coming out of the turn there and hit the wall. And Michael Schumacher is threading his way through the field. Schumacher out of the race. Michael Schumacher slams out of turn 13 into the wall, just as his brother did yesterday, and is furious with himself in the same way that Jacques Villeneuve was in the Williams when he did exactly the same thing a couple of years ago. David Coulthard goes past, Mika Häkkinen will have gone past, and now this race looks as though it has become a gift for McLaren. Here's a replay, let's see what happens. He clips the curb and slides, loses it, slides. He had just passed on Olivier Panis. Maybe he'd lost his rhythm, Mark.
Oh, I think what happened purely there, he went in, he got on the curbs, those curbs upset the balance of the car, just lost grip, the rear end kicked out, and off he was in the wall. But that's such an unusual mistake for that guy. He never makes mistakes like that.
The order now on lap 34, with Michael Schumacher very much out of the race, is Mika Häkkinen leading. Eddie Irvine is second. There is Ralf Schumacher. That's where Mika Häkkinen went off yesterday, and it's a very easy place to do that. And we're watching David Coulthard in 3rd position. Now he's trying to close on Eddie Irvine, as Irvine is trying to close on Mika Häkkinen, and that is Ralf Schumacher. That's a replay of the Williams running off.
It's exactly the same place, Murray, where Alessandro Zanardi went off earlier in the race there at the hairpin.
Now, what about Jacques Villeneuve? Well, Jacques has made his way, by virtue of his speed and retirements, up to 8th position from 16th on the grid. He's yet to win a Canadian Grand Prix. I don't think he's going to win this one. James Allen in the pits. What's the news? There's Villeneuve out. Sorry to interrupt you, James. Jacques Villeneuve, I was talking about, has done exactly the same thing that Michael Schumacher did. Are they going to bring the safety car out? Because he, like Zonta, is even more on the line. The VARs have gone out at exactly the same place, and this is Jinx part of the circuit for Villeneuve, because it's where he went out exactly the same place 2 years ago in the Williams.
Oh, he's way out on the racetrack there. Should never have been there, but I guess it was caused by going across those curbs.
Yeah, Villeneuve charging up behind Zanardi. Takes a very, very heavy hit there. In comes the safety car, on goes the race. Now, Eddie Irvine must make a charge now to get past Panis in the blue Cross and Bedard in the silver Minardi. It's a golden opportunity for Mika Häkkinen on lap 41 with 20 laps to go. Coulthard challenges. David Coulthard passes Eddie Irvine. No, he doesn't. Out goes Irvine, out goes Coulthard. Oh my goodness. Irvine rejoins. Now, they both rejoin, but right at the back of the field. Wow, what about that, Mark?
Turn 1, turn 2 this time, and unbelievable. The two of them touched. Coulthard actually went round the long way, round the outside, got down the side of Irvine, but then Irvine just squeezed him a little bit. Coulthard took to the grass and they touched and both slid off, but they're both back on again, and maybe we can see some more action.
Watch David Coulthard on the outside of turn 1, and now the inside of turn 2, hitting Eddie Irvine. There'll be contention about whose fault it was.
Well, it was a bit 50-50 in some respects. Coulthard made the move, squeezed Irvine down on the apex of that curving. Irvine took his line and squeezed David a little bit there, and both round they go. It's like the waltz.
As Frenson now can see his opportunity, and Fisichella's got a big problem. He's got to try to get past Panis and Bedard as Panis attacks the Italian in the Minardi, and at the same time resist Heinz-Harald Frenson. Now what's happening? They're coming down to turn 12 and 13. This is the one where Schumacher went off and Villeneuve went off. Are they all going to make it? And Fisichella comes up alongside Prost. And Heinz-Harald Frentzen goes through. Fabulous.
Well, that's what we said before. Canis is causing a little bit of a trouble here for those guys who are obviously in front of him on the road. And he's now let Frentzen go by. He's not too happy about letting Fisichella go by.
We're with Frentzen now. What a super bit of driving by the German. The man who is now showing his real potential. The steward of Johnny Herbert, the white car, is coming up behind Alex Zanardi's car, the Williams, and he's in 8th position. It's getting mighty complicated. Zanardi goes past Badeur. Eddie Irvine, look at him, tucked up right behind Diniz. Tries to go past, he's going to go through on the inside, and they're going to touch. And Badeur is in there as well, and Irvine gets through. Now, that was great stuff.
That was great stuff, but again, Badeur gets caught in the middle of something where he really shouldn't be.
So the race order on lap 47 as Irvine goes off, but he'll recover okay here. David Coulthard comes in for his 10-second penalty. The mechanics have a look at the car. The lollipop man, like Nagain, just holds the lollipop there. David has to contain himself. Johnny Herbert has only had a 10th place this year. His teammate Rubens Barrichello has had 2 points finishes this year, a 3rd and a 5th, and Irvine continuing to shove. And Johnny Herbert quite cool, quite calm, utterly implacable. This is his 135th Grand Prix as off goes Sandro Zanardi. Did he manage to avoid Luca Badeur? Yes, he did. Oh, Eddie getting it very out of shape.
Eddie's pushing, he's really pushing like mad here. He wants to get on the back of Herbert, get by him, and get after Ralf Schumacher. He wants that podium position, Murray.
As we get a replay here of Zanardi and Badeur battling for that position. Badeur holding it while Zanardi goes off. Zanardi has had an awful lot of car problems, but even allowing for that, am I being unfair if I say he's been disappointing? Well, a totally calm, cool, collected and dispassionate Michael Schumacher. And past Johnny Herbert goes Eddie Irvine all over the place. They both go over the apex of turn 13, and Eddie Irvine's gigantic push has succeeded. He is now up into 6th position. Eddie Irvine courageously dives inside Johnny Herbert. They both go off the track. There won't be a penalty, I think, because I don't think either of them suffered. I may be wrong there. It depends on the judgment of the stewards. And look at the way Irvine had to fight to retain control of that Ferrari.
Yeah, we called it a tank slapper in this business, Murray. Certainly there's going to be some dust on that corner now, that's for sure.
So Schumacher is driving an absolute storm of a race.
He's very mature, he's come on leaps and bounds since last season. But watch the Williams team, Murray. I think those guys are going to lift up the pressure a little bit. They're going to get some performance. They're doing a lot of testing in the next couple of weeks, and all the Williams personnel are pumped up about it.
Irvine going for it. Dodges out from behind Schumacher's rear wing. Is this where the superior power pays off? Yes, it does. On the approach to where Eddie Irvine moved up ahead of Johnny Herbert, and Irvine is now up into 4th position. Now the gap between him and Fisichella is some 12 seconds, and even the way Irvine is flying, actually his last lap was marginally slower than Fisichella's. So Fisichella is looking extremely good for another podium, as we see a replay here in Canada of Eddie Irvine taking Ralf Schumacher. Eddie Irvine now is only 6.5 seconds behind the battle for second place between Frentzen and Fisichella, but the leaders are now on their 66th lap, and well as Irvine is driving, and he's driving superbly, he's going to have a problem. But look, he's close up, he's at Fisichella in front of him as they come, and off goes Frentzen. Well, right in the closing stages of the Canadian Grand Prix, just as Damon Hill went off, Heinz-Harald Frentzen goes off. Is he all right? He's waving his hand there. All we see is the end of that accident when he took a very severe hit going backwards.
It looks like turn 3. That looks like that corner there looks just under braking. He's lost it and straight into the barrier. But hard, as you say.
And I think we're going to see for the first time ever a Grand Prix finish behind the safety car. You've got experience of this in Champ Car racing, Mark. It looks as though, sadly, we're going to see the wrong sort of history made in Formula One with the yellow flags out and the board there which tells Mika Häkkinen by the letters SC on it that the safety car is out. Mika Häkkinen wins in Montreal. The flags wave. He surges across the line, and Fisichella second, Irvine third, Ralf Schumacher fourth, Johnny Herbert fifth, Pedro Diniz another point for Sauber. So McLaren win, Benetton are second, Ferrari are third, Williams are fourth, Stewart are fifth, Sauber are sixth. That's 6 different constructors in the top 6. David Coulthard fails to score for McLaren. So, victory for Mika Häkkinen. There's Eddie Irvine. Well done, and Fisichella.
It was excellent race, definitely, and I was very pleased about the way the race was going in early stages. Anyway, when Michael was leading, because I was comfortable with the car, and I was just able to go quicker if I wanted to, but there was no reason for it because the level of risk what could have happened, and then I saw Michael going off, and I don't know exactly what happened, but turned up to be very, very good for me. That's racing, and here I am, won the race, great feeling.